The war with the darkness, the war of dark versus light, has always been a war with ourselves. Dark versus light has always been a war with ourselves. Dark versus light has always been a war with ourselves. Or war in which we are fighting external to ourselves. The war is the understanding that there has never been dark versus light. What created dark versus light is the human being's understanding and figurings of what reality is, which was perpetuated by our egos. The story of the creation of our egos, I channeled. It's the Garden of Eden, or the Anunnaki of Nibiru landing and tampering with the human being, the creation that is a human being, within Sumer, Mesopotamia, ancient biblical Sumer, Mesopotamia. I channeled that the human's ego was constructed through, I'm just being guided to refer to the channeling in which I did. The creation of the human ego, the creation of the human being's anti-kryptonite is the name of the King of Things podcast installment. The formation of the human being's genome anti-kryptonite. That is it. The formation of the human being's genome's anti-kryptonite. I'm going to say it one more time. The formation of the human being's genome anti-kryptonite is where I channeled the information regarding the ego. Leave that there. So that'll be there. So our understandings of dark and light, and not understanding God's understanding of dark and light, or God consciousness understanding of dark and light, oneness consciousness understanding of dark and light. The dark and light is harmonious. Dark isn't dueling light. Light isn't dueling dark, but dark and light are harmonious. Hello, Hazel and Zoe. Give me 1 second. Everything I channel, it's a channel. So like I have to study and practice by living my life to the greatest of my ability, in alignment with everything that I channel, the wisdom that I channel, the integrity that I channel. So I want to say that I'm not a master in any form as we would perceive master. I am an ascended master in the way that I face myself. I face the energies within me to be able to glean the information and wisdom of oneness. But the mastering of oneness is a forever journey. The mastering of oneness consciousness, or God consciousness, Goddess consciousness, is an eternal journey, an infinite, limitless journey. So dark versus light. It's never been dark versus light, but our egoic perceptions of reality says dark versus light. And as we did this, perpetuated and lived through centuries, millennia, with the egoic perception of dark versus light, we created the devil, we created demons, we created archons, we created and perpetuated energies in which seek to destroy, energies which seek to harm, energies which seek to kill. These energies, entities, demons, devils, archons, archetypes of lower dimensional consciousness have been infiltrating what we would understand it to be, fifth dimensional beingness in the oneness of God's creation. These lower vibrational entities, beings, archetypes, archons, in which we created with our understandings of reality, our understandings of light and dark, our understandings of what is, manifested these low vibrational entities, demons, devils, archons, archetypes, in which have been infiltrating the fourth and fifth dimension within the oneness of creation, or infiltrating spaces within, being guided to stick to the fourth and fifth dimension of the oneness of creation. God is alchemizing unconditional love to myself so that the remedy can be formulated. So the remedy, God was alchemizing unconditional love within myself so the remedy could be formulated. God was alchemizing unconditional love within myself so the remedy could be formulated. God was alchemizing unconditional love within myself so the remedy could be formulated. A remedy to reform and uplift all of God's creation. The remedy to restore the understanding of oneness through all of God's creation. The remedy to begin to bring unity to all of God's creation, as this will be a forever limitless, infinite journey, as existence is a forever limitless, infinite journey. The war that was perpetuated by our consciousness, by our understandings of what reality is, by our dualistic consciousness, in the ethers, the war in the ethers of the fourth and fifth dimension, has been quelled. Has been quelled. The war is over. Any remnants of dysfunction, any remnants of imbalance, any remnants of war are the fumes that will disseminate. And so it is, and so it shall be done. And so it is, and so it shall be done. And so it is, and so it shall be done. Thank you, thank you, thank you. With the disillusionment of the understanding of creation, with the harmony between the dark and the light, with the ending of the war of duality consciousness within the ethers, within the fourth and fifth dimension, it will take time for this understanding to be reformed, reestablished in the third dimension. But within the fourth and fifth dimension, within the ethers, our loved ones whom have transitioned into greater states of awareness but have been entrapped within understandings of reality in which forbid them from exercising their ability to see beyond the circumstances of proclivity within their transcended states of being have been dissolved. Our loved ones whom have deceased, transitioned into higher states of conscious awareness, have been liberated from what we call soul death, have been liberated from soul entrapment, have been liberated from the ideology of suffering, the ideology of suffering as within traumatic passings of our loved ones, of the deceased, many souls were trapped in loops of proclivity, loops of repeating the incidents of their death within fourth and fifth dimension awareness, within light consciousness, within their light body being, within perceptions in which are beyond our dualistic consciousness synapses. Liberation is theirs. Liberation is ours. Liberation is oneness. Liberation is for oneness. The battle between feminine and masculine energy, which perpetuated a frequential dissonance between the man and the woman, frequential dissonance within, in which we were unable to relate with ourselves in the most deepest and purest and intimate ways, which translated to us not being able to relate, the human being not being able to relate to others, people, family, friends, lovers, companions in the deepest, purest, and most intimate ways. This dissonance, this battle between the masculine and feminine energy has been quelled. Has been quelled. And so it is, and so it shall be done. And so it is, and so it shall be done. And so it is, and so it has. So it is, and so it shall be done. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I think it's important that I add this into this installment of Kingdom Things podcast. It's April 13, 2023. What is time but a beautiful experience? There's a misnomer about angelic presence. There's a misnomer about demonic presence. There is no angelic presence. There is no demonic presence. There is only an energetic presence. An energetic presence that vibrates at different resonances depending on where your frequential patterning of your dimensionality of self is vibrating. Whenever you have an angelic presence near, it's because you have an angelic presence within that resonates with that angelic presence that's near. Or you're projecting, allowing a portal for that angelic presence to appear in your reality. Whenever you have a low vibrational energy near, it's because you have a low vibrational energy within that resonates with that low vibrational energy, or you're projecting low vibrational energies into your reality. There's no such thing as you being a victim to a low vibration energy or entity. Why, Ashley? Because in order for energies to be able to resonate in our vicinity, to be able to affect us, we have to have an energy within us that resonates and can relate with the energy in which you're experiencing from externally. What does that mean, Ashley? No one's a victim. We all have energetic patterns within. We all have energetic embodiments in which we can learn and grow from within ourselves and with each other. No one's a victim. On my morning walk, I had some pretty liberating intuitive downloads. I like to call it Powwow sessions with the other dimensions of myself, my ancestors, God. What has been blocking your highest reality, your highest interpretation of joy, abundance, wellness, liberation, stability, security from unfolding in your life, Ashley? What has been blocking it? The dimensions and aspects of myself that are holding on to the game. The dimensions and aspects that are holding on to the game. The dimensions and aspects that are holding on to the game. What game, Ashley? The game of low consciousness. The game of civility. The game of lack. The game of finite that we played for millennia. I channeled it a while back. I'm not sure which podcast, Kingdom Things podcast installment it's in, but I channeled that everything's happening at once, right? Everything exists in every moment that's going to ever exist, right? I channeled, I don't remember which Kingdom Things podcast it's in. I channeled that it wants to come in the title, the name. It's not hidden. I channeled that the energy's not hitting. I channeled that God lured us to the earth experiment, right? God needed the souls that God needed in order for that to create the alchemy, for God's plan, for God's schematics, for God's blueprint, for what God intended to create, the concept that God intended to construct. So God lured different souls from all over God's creation to the earth experiment. And when I say Lord, God wants me to say Lord. You know, whenever you look up the definition of Lord, however you interpret Lord, take it that way. God said, I lured the energies that I needed to the earth experiment, or the souls that I needed to the earth experiment, the souls that I needed to the earth experiment. As souls play the games, energies go into the alchemization of souls and spaces, dimensions, concepts of God. So the souls, that's the big thing. The souls were, being guided to say that 2 more times. Souls play the games. Energies go into the alchemization, the alchemy of creating souls, spaces, dimensions, concepts of God. Souls play the game. The energies go into the alchemization of different souls, concepts, dimensions, spaces of creation or of God. So God lured different souls to planet Earth. Whenever you research the definition of Lord, however that intuitively hits for you, take it in that way. So God lured the different souls to the Earth experiment. And, the concept of the different experiences or experiments, they vary. They vary. They're always different in some type of way. There's always a variable switch, a variable change. The concepts and experiments of creation that our souls play, they vary. The concepts and experiments of creation that our souls play, they vary. The concepts and experiments that our souls play, they vary. God lured many souls to the Earth experiment in order for the schematics, the alchemy that God intended for the concept of the human being of planet Earth, for the amalgamation of the energy that is a human being of planet Earth, for the construction of the unconditional love that is to assist with the regeneration and upliftment of all of God's creation, all of infinite creation. Hello, Hazel and Zoe. So God lured our souls here to the Earth experiment, and I channeled in another installment of Kingdom Things podcast. It was like, it's like our souls never experienced anything but the Earth experiment. It's like our souls never knew anything else but low consciousness. Why, Ashley? Because everything's happening at once. So if we checked into this experiment, into the study, into this overnight study, if our souls checked into this overnight study, this study of becoming amnesiac to your truth, becoming amnesiac to your truth and living many lifetimes in this amnesia, in this low dense consciousness, in this play where we are at the whim of a destiny that is of no control of ourselves. This play in which we have no control over any dimension and aspects of our lives. In this play in which everything happens is a coincidence. Everything that we experience is a coincidence. We checked into this experiment. Everything's happened at once. So this is reality to us. The notion that our amnesia to our infinite nature, to the limitless nature of ourselves, the limitless nature of reality, the limitless nature of God, it's that's foreign to us. We believed in this amnesiac state, that the amnesia, being born to die and just living it up in between the birth and death, and never not knowing what's on the other side of death, that is reality to us. When in all actuality, this has been an experiment. This has been an experiment to what, Ashley? To alchemize a compassion that was needed within God. A compassion that is unconditional love, because a compassion that understands the civility, that understands the empathy, that understands the pain of struggle, the pain of growing, the pain of resurrecting, the pain of creation. The pain of creation. In order to create something anew, what has been has to be destroyed or transmuted in order to form something else. We have a compassion like no other because we've been through it all. We might not have a conscious awareness that we've been through it all, but we feel so deeply when we allow ourselves to feel, because we know how this shit feels like. We have an empathy and a compassion when we allow ourselves to feel, because we know what it feels like. We have an empathy and compassion when we allow ourselves to feel, because we know what it feels like. We move to our head space and try to think through everything because we don't want to feel that in which we were created to feel. We move to our heads and leave our heart space because we don't want to feel what we were created to feel. We move to our heads and leave our heart space because we don't want to feel what we were created to feel. Our heart space is where our creative power is. Our heart space is where our knowledge is. Our heart space is where our intuitive knowing is. Our heart space is where our classroom with our soul and God is. Our classroom where our soul and God is. Our classroom where our soul and God is, to teach us, to grow us, and remember us as infinite beings within God's creation. What was stopping you, Ashley, from your reality unfolding into your limitless possibilities? The amnesia that said that I'm in competition, the amnesia that said that I'm in survival mode, the amnesia that says there's a finite resources available, the amnesia that said impossible isn't possible. Lore, past tense, Lord, past particle, Lord. Oxford Languages definition: tempt a person or animal to do something or to go somewhere, especially by offering some form of reward. The child was lured into a car but managed to escape. The child was lured into a car but managed to escape. The child was lured into a car but managed to escape. Tempt a personal lure. Oxford Languages definition: tempt a person or animal to do something or to go somewhere, especially by offering some form of reward. The child was lured into a car but managed to escape. I was like, God told me, I channeled a while back, my soul and God in all actuality have 0 degrees of separation. Our souls and God in all actuality have 0 degrees of separation. Our souls and God in all actuality have 0 degrees of separation. Our souls and God in all actuality have 0 degrees of separation. Our soul, God, was telling me to that you can stop now. Like, you did it, you made it. You know what you set out to do, you did it. What you set out to do, you did it. God, Lord, tempted our souls to come to this earth experience, to sign up for this earth experiment by offering some form of reward. What was the reward, Ashley? The reward was contingent on like your soul's experience. Our rewards are contingent upon our soul's experience. Our souls all experience the feeling of lack. This feeling of lack, or this energy of lack, is how this energy is translated into our lower consciousness, our survival consciousness, our egoistic consciousness. The energy translates as lack. But all of our souls experience this translated energy in which we perceive as lack. In our current state of beingness, in our separation consciousness, we perceive this energy as lack. All of our souls experience this energy of lack, in which we perceive this energy or translate this energy as lack in our lower consciousness, or our human consciousness, past human consciousness, past human consciousness, past human consciousness, past human consciousness perceptions. This energy is translated into lack. This energy in all actuality is the journeying or perceived separation of our soul prints, our soul energies, from Source, from God, from the Most High. We're never separated from God, from Source, from the Most High, as our souls and God, Source, and Most High have 0 degrees of separation, but our souls journey through experience, or our souls sign up to experience different experiments and different concepts within God in order to grow and learn more about self, in order to grow and learn more about self, in order to grow and learn more about God. So our souls have the perceived separation of separating from God's source or home, God's source or home, God's source or home, and signing up for these different experiments, concepts, and different dimensions and aspects and concepts of God in order to learn more about God. The concept or experiment or experience that we're currently experiencing as a human being of planet Earth in survival consciousness, low consciousness. We call it third dimensionality consciousness. God was telling me, Ashley, you can stop, you can slow down now. You can stop, you can slow down now. Why, Ashley? Our souls have always been guiding us. Our souls have always been guiding us. The movie Avatar always resonated deeply with me. This is an analogy, an understanding for our minds to understand how our souls are our guardians, how our souls are our translation into this, into what we do, what we see, how we feel, what we think in this reality. The movie Avatar is an analogy of, our relationship with our souls. The avatar, and then the human being on the other side of the dimensionality of the residence of the avatar, of the home of the avatar, of the dimensionality of the avatar. This is an analogy of our relationship with our souls, or our relationship with God. Our soul or God was telling me, Ashley, you can stop now, you can slow down, you did it, you did it, you did what you set out to do. And I was in go mode. I've been getting this analogy for a long time, but I've never channeled it. Like a wind-up toy. How you wind up a toy and it goes in motion, like animatronics. It starts animatronics. When you wind up an animatronic device or toy or robot, and you just let it go, it starts moving. It's like my wind up was gone. Like my wind up wouldn't stop. Like it wouldn't stop. That old energy was wound within me, moving me through creation, and it wouldn't stop. My soul was telling me that, Ashley, follow me, because I'm going to show you the new way. You don't have to do this. You don't have to keep running off of this old energy, this lack energy, this low consciousness energy. I'm going to show you a new way, Ashley. My soul, our soul, God said, I'm going to show you a new way, Ashley. And I kept going. I couldn't figure out why I couldn't stop. I was like, I'm trying. Like, I'm really trying. I'm trying to surrender, God. I'm surrendering. I don't know why I can't stop. I can't stop. Won't stop. Never stop. I was like, I don't know why I can't stop, God. Lord, tempt a person or animal to do something. In our case, tempt a soul to do something or to go somewhere, especially by offering some form of reward. We all experience this lack or this feeling of missing home as we venture through different experiences. In this case, the earth experience as a human being in low consciousness. I was on my walk and I was like, I got the answer why I kept going. I got the answer why I kept going, but I didn't get the solution, the remedy. Competition. Like it's like a competition. But I was like, who am I in competition with? Myself. Like I'm in competition with myself. But I was like, what am I competing for? I asked God, I asked myself, what am I competing for? I didn't get an answer until now. Lord, we were Lord, our souls were Lord to this dimensionality. Our souls had been, we would perceive it as fighting or competing, not with anything external to ourselves, but that's how we perceived it in our inverted perception and lower consciousness as a human being on planet Earth. We perceived it with competition with others outside of ourselves, but we've only been competing with ourselves to grow ourselves into levels of perception where we remember who we are, that we're infinite creation or dimensions and aspects of God having human experiences. And once we came into that remembrance that we're limitless energies, limitless possibilities, that we're dimensions and aspects of God, we were going to be rewarded with what we were lured to planet Earth for. All of the things that we could ever desire in our whole godly experience as souls, as energies, as limitless souls, as limitless energies. We're going to be rewarded once we remember, that we're limitless souls, limitless energies. Once we grow into goddess consciousness, once we remember that we don't have to run anymore. We're not in competition with anyone. We can put our egos to bed. We can take off we can shed our egoic ways that no longer serve us. We can shed our egoic ways that no longer serve us. That being competition, that energy of competition, competing, and you can't stop. I don't know what I'm running for. I don't know I want this big ass bank account for. I don't know what I want this big ass house for. I don't know what I want this vacation for. I don't know what I want this for. I don't know what I'm driving this car for, but I feel like it's something that I'm supposed to have. You're competing, but we translate that competition to competing with others. You were competing with yourself, but in our inverted perception of reality, the competition is material, gaining material things. In our inverted perception of reality, the competition was gaining material things. In our inverted perception of reality, the Competition was gaining material things. Who can have the most? Who can have the most? Who can have the most? We invert that. Who can be the most? Who can be the most? Get in alignment with being the most. Remember that you've always been all. That you've always been the oneness of all. That you've always been limitless possibilities. That you've always been a god or goddess having a human experience. We were lured to this human experience to be showered with our soul's deepest desires, our soul's most abundant realities, our soul's most gracious possibilities. We just have to remember that the game is over. The game is over. We can stop fighting. We can stop warring. We can stop fighting. We can stop warring. We can stop fighting. We can stop warring. In all actuality, we're fighting. We're warring with ourselves. As every human being is a microcosm of the macrocosm. As God created the human experience in order to balance the energies, work out the conflicts or feuds, as we would perceive it, balance the energies or work out the conflicts or feud. God created the human experience to balance the energies of God's creation or work out the balance the energies of God's creation, or work out the energies and feuds as we would see it, the conflict within God's creation. We all have this like fighter mentality, fight or flight, fight or flight, fight or flight. Every single one of us. And this is programmed inside of us intentionally to keep us working the puzzle. To keep us working the puzzle. How, Ashley? As we have this energy inside of us, fight or flight, this competitive energy, this paranoia of, someone's coming for me, someone's coming for my spot, someone's coming for my family, someone's coming for all that I have. As we have that inside of us, we manifest realities in which people truly come for us. We manifest realities in which we truly have enemies. We manifest realities in which people truly want to kill us. When we have that energy inside of us, God said we can let that go. We've transcended that. God said we transcended that. We can stop fighting. We can stop warring. We can stop fighting. We can stop warring. We can stop fighting. We can stop warring. In all actuality, we have an internal battle because all is one. We were here to work out the conflict of all creation or balance the energies of all create all of creation as God channeled through me in plain sight, as the most high white light creator energy channeled through me in plain sight to creation. That is, source was created by an amalgamation of energies that came together to create the creation that is source, or the most high white light energy. The most high white light energy was supposed to be an energy in which was greater to all accounts than the energies that came together to create, than the energies that came together to amalgamate and create source. But source was supposed to be subservient to those energies in which came together to create source. Source, or the most high white light creator energy, wasn't balanced, as source, the most high white light creator energy, had qualms about being subservient to the energies that came together to create source, came together, amalgamate to create source, as we would perceive it. This is how the story is translated in our understanding of creation, and this is how the most high white light creator wants me to channel the story. The energies that came together to amalgamate to create the energy that is source, created source to be an energy that was subservient, but greater in all accounts than the energies that came together to amalgamate to create source. Source was imbalanced in the faction in which source did not want to be subservient to the energies that came together to create source, but wanted to create of its own volition, wanted to be of its own volition, wanted to have an identity of its own volition. Much like the human being of planet Earth that has the personality or ego, which we call it, that wants an identity of its own volition. that wants to be creation and identified of its own volition and stand out from the whole, the competition that we had inside, the war that we had inside, which perpetuates in our reality, is the mirroring of our egos or our personalities warring with our soul or the oneness of all. Our egos and our personalities want an identity of itself, while our souls understand the oneness of all, and that the ego was illusionary. The ego was illusionary. The ego was illusionary. God wants the human being of planet Earth to have its own identity. At the same time, God wants the human being of planet Earth to open its mind, open its beingness to the fact that it is a part of oneness, a part of whole, a part of source, a part of the dimension of the Most High White Light Creator energy. The age-old, archaic feud between the divine feminine, divine masculine energy, the feminine and masculine energy within the human being's history of understanding the human being's paradigm of reality has been lifted. Being guided to leave it there. The Mahabharata. The Mahabharata. I'm not going to lie and say that I listened to or read the whole story. I have not. I listened to the Bhagavad Gita. I listened to the Bhagavad Gita, as well as I was guided through parts of the Mahabharata, exposed to the energies of the Mahabharata in order to glean what God's Spirit, the One, needed me to glean. Come and rescue me. Come and rescue me. I'm going to really allow Spirit to flow through me with this one. This one is deep. This one is big picture. This one is big picture. This one is big picture. Come and rescue me. Come and rescue me. Come and Rescue Me by Drake is playing in my head. Search and Rescue. Search and Rescue. Search and Rescue by Drake is playing in my head. And I would sing it, but like I don't feel to. So Search and Rescue by Drake is playing in my head. And this song is analogous to Planet Earth. Planet Earth. Planet Earth, Planet Earth, the ecosystem of Planet Earth. So that includes humanity, but I'm being guided to say the entire ecosystem of Planet Earth. Like, this is like the theme song. Mother Father Gaia is saying, come and rescue me. Come and rescue me. Take me out. Father and Mother Gaia is singing Drake, Search and Rescue. It's an analogous to what the ecosystem of planet Earth is screaming. Why, Ashley? I'm being guided to say nothing knows how to play its part within the ecosystem of planet Earth. Nothing knows how to play its role within the ecosystem of planet Earth. Nothing knows how to be its role within the being guided to stick with. Nothing knows how to play its role within the ecosystem of planet Earth. Why, Ashley? With our inverted perception of reality, which begins in our homes as the seeds of life, of creation, start within our homes as our children, we start within the home. We've been living in darkness for millennia. The human being of planet Earth has been living in darkness for millennia. So the human being of planet Earth has not been accustomed to following the outline of the universe, the outline of God, outline of infinite creation. What are you saying, Ashley? What am I saying? What am I saying? What are you saying, Ashley? What am I saying? The children are born into homes in which there's a void. There's an empty space. And that empty space, the child fills it within. What's the empty space, Ashley? The unawareness of our truth. The unawareness of who we are. The unawareness of what we are. What are you saying, Ashley? We are infinite souls having human experiences. I've been channeling this since day one of Kingdom Things podcast. I hadn't gleaned and remembered as I am now gleaning and remembered from day one to present day. I remember much more, and that's the journey of life. The journey of evolution is remembering self more than you did in your last moment, learning and gleaning more about self more than what you did in your last moment. We have been living in homes that are void of the knowledge of self, the truth of self. We are infinite souls having a human experience. We are playing a game. The game Sims is a great analogy to what you are doing, humans of planet Earth. You are playing a game. You are playing a game where you are able to be who you've never been in other dimensions and realities, where you are able to do things that you've never done in other dimensions, other realities, where you are able to experience things that you've never experienced in other dimensions, other realities. Your soul's energy is playing a game. Children come into the homes and we feel the void because there's a lack of understanding, which the children can feel on an energetic level, but the consciousness of the child is stifled or stagnated by the consciousness in which the child is birthed into. The child is birthed into the void. The child is birthed into the darkness. The child is birthed into a lack of knowing self. And as a child is birthed into the darkness, birthed into a void, birthed into a lack of knowing self, the child feels as if the child has to fill that void. So what does the child do, Ashley? The child takes on the energy of the savior, the energy of the fixer, the energy of the void filler. As a child seeks to please the parent in order to validate self, in order to get validation for their existence. The children seek to please the parents by filling the voids within the home that the parent was supposed to fill, by healing self, by going within to know self before procreating, going within to know self before procreating, going within to know self before procreating, so you don't bring your children into a void, a lack of understanding of self. As your children will try to fill the void that you are perpetuating on an energetic level in order to get validation for their existence. So we have children that grow up seeking validation in the world. And what is the world, Ashley? Egoic masculine energy. We're past that, Ashley. What is the world? The world is the cycle of not knowing self. This world has been a cycle, perpetual cycle, karmic cycles of not knowing self. So we have children that grow into adults that seek validation in this world, the same validation in which can only tell you. What can this world tell you, Ashley? How to continue to seek, how to continue to run, how to continue to search for something that's you only find within. You can only find within. You can only find within. What's it within, Ashley? God. Your existence, your truth. Who is God? Your truth. Who is God? Your truth. Who is God? You. God is everything. God is you. The ineffable. What is the ineffable, Ashley? Every human being is every human being. Every human being is every human being. The Philosopher's Stone is the realization that every human being is every human being. We are not separate in any way. What is psychic abilities, Ashley? Psychic abilities is tapping to the energies of other people. Why, Ashley? Because every human being is every human being. We play a game that we're dumb and that we don't know that every human being is every human being. Every human being is God. God is one. Why is there psychic abilities, Ashley? Because we have one consciousness. We have one consciousness. Every human being is every human being. We externalize things, so we act as if you're feeling the energy that's coming from over there. No, it's inside of you. Why? Because every human being is every human being. That's the ineffable. That's the ineffable. We have 0 degrees of separation. Divine counterpart or not, there's 0 degrees of separation between every human being. The child comes in wondering, like, what's going on here? They don't know. They don't know. And they seek validation for what's always been inside of them, but they don't know it's always been inside of them because they're born into a home that was void of the knowing that everything all is inside, not in the world. The world is saying, rescue me from this pattern of this pattern of dysfunction, this pattern of being sucked dry because they're taking from me because they don't know that it's in them and they're supposed to manifest it and heal me. They're saying, you're supposed to heal me. You're supposed to bring down the energies of abundance from the universe. You are the universe. Remember, remember, remember is what the earth is saying. Come and rescue me. The ineffable, or the alignment with the understanding that all is one, is called the ineffable because it's something you have to experience. It's nothing that you can explain to someone, in which that person will be able to comprehend the magnitude of the ineffable. This is why love and compassion is of the utmost pertinence through this time of evolution of the human being on planet Earth, through this time of the evolution of God's creation. God, or myself, or my soul, God, ourselves, and soul. Our souls have 0 degrees of separation in all actuality. Showed me a while ago. God guided me. My intuition guided me to this video on YouTube. It was about this. This man's YouTube channel where he. It's like an audio thing. Like I can't. I'm gonna channel just the way it's coming through. It was able to change the reception or the track in which the device plays. I'm able to switch up the track in which the device plays, do like some chords, some wiring. It's like an old school, like it was an old school like music device that he rigged or wired to be able to play in his car. So there's different wires that you can plug in to change the tracks on the device, the old school device that he plays in his car. God directed me to this video a while ago, some energetic cycles ago, some time ago. And God was what God showed me, and I understood it in the moment. I got the intuitive message. God was showing me that in any moment God can change like the direction of your life. In any moment God can change the direction of your life. How does God change the direction of your life, Ashley? God changes how you perceive yourself. God changes how you perceive your reality. In any moment God can switch up the tape, switch up the track, switch up the story. And in which you'll change the way in which you perceive yourself. Therefore, you'll change the way in which you perceive your reality, which will therefore manifest or create a new reality for you, for creation, for all that is, for God. God showed me this a while ago. God switched up the tape on me. God switched up the tape, and I have an apologies to extend to myself. Apologies to extend to myself. Apologies to extend to my divine counterpart and his family for any being guided to say disturbance that I've caused, any fear that I've caused in y'all's lives. Why, Ashley? We run on the same tape, or we run on the trauma, we run on the ego and the pain until we face it. we'll keep on perpetuating that same tape until we heal ourselves. How do we heal ourselves? Actually, by facing ourselves and realizing the way we've been, our egos, the construction of our egos, or the way we've operated, have only been due to the pain and the lessons, the cocoons, the energies that we came here to transcend as souls having human experiences. So I had a dream last night, and my dream was I was being purged. I was being purged of the last track of the energies in which I get this song played in my I hear the song clairaudiently a lot of the times. It's on Dreamgirls. Eddie Murphy sings it. We make our way to the top, around and around. You can make your way to the top, around and around, round and around. And that's how the Fibonacci sequence or evolution, that's how we learn and grow, is we keep on playing the same tape over and over. And it seems like we're just playing the same loop on the same track, but with aligning with your intuition and taking your intuitive steps, instead of just going on the same track with no end in sight, you're actually climbing and evolving upward. You're experiencing the same energies, but you're shedding those energies. Last night I had a dream where I was purging the energies of my last track, or the energies that I came here to transcend, which allowed me to see, the next step, the energies that I came here to transcend as a soul having a human experience. So the energies that I came to transcend that I purged last night, it was like a 2-track dream. Part of the dream, I was purging, literally throwing up. I was literally purging, literally throwing up. Simultaneously, I was meeting masculine energies, in which only mirror to me the deception that I had going on within. Only mirror to me the deception that I had going on within, as I would ignore my truth or quell my truth in order to satisfy the egoic energy within myself, or the egoic energy that was humanity. So I was purging, I was purging, and then I woke up this morning and I'm kind of in a fog, and I did my meditations, did some other things, went on my morning walk, and when I was on my morning walk, it hit me. The feminine and the masculine energy, we've had this archaic feud because of how the egoic mind of the human being, or how we perceive reality. We understood polarities as dueling forces versus polarities being balancing forces, as God has instructed me He intended for His creation to be. As it is, polarizing forces are balancing forces. Polarizing forces are balancing forces. Polarizing forces are balancing forces, and not dueling forces, or separate forces. So I was on my walk, and I'm I energetically feel myself ignoring my divine counterpart's energy, because I feel his energy trying to come in, but I shun it. I feel his energy trying to come in, and I shun it. And then I finally realized, because of the purge last night, I can see clearer. I can perceive the energies clearer. I realized that I was trying to perpetuate the archaic feud between the masculine and feminine energy. So my divine feminine energy is up. It's up. My divine feminine energy is up. My divine feminine energy is up. I'm connected to the universe. I understand that I am the universe. I'm getting downloads and, following the downloads and intuitive gnosis, Bena, as practicing it to the best of my ability, to the best of my conscious awareness, to the best of my conscious awareness, to the best of my conscious awareness. So I was trying to perpetuate the feud, the archaic feud between the masculine and feminine energy. And then I remembered that the nothing is separate, all is one. So when I shun my divine counterpart's energy, I'm only shunning part of myself, and that's only perpetuating the archaic feud, and it's perpetuating pestilence. I'm being guided to say pestilence within myself. And I did this. I shunned the divine masculine energy within myself because it reminded me of my last track that I purged last night in the etheric realms and the astral realms. Of me ignoring my divine feminine energy in order to get along with my masculine energy. And I've gleaned this, like, make your way to the top, around and around. Make your way to the top, around and around. I've gleaned this, make your way to the top, around and around. I've gleaned this many times, and I've channeled this many times, but it's a new level of understanding, a new level of appreciation. I apologize to myself. First and foremost, I apologize to myself. Apologizing to myself is apologizing to all. I apologize to my divine counterparts, family. Everything that I channeled was accurate. It's I had to come to peace and harmony within myself in order to transcend everything that I channeled. In order to transcend everything that I expressed and everything that I channeled. Not gonna lie, some dark energies within me attached on to everything happens as it should have happened. It's part of God's alchemy and understanding of where the human being is. I apologize. Everything's transcended. We are all free to grow, come into oneness within self at peace, in peace, in peace, in peace. This is a really cool download. So, all is one. Myself, God, my ancestors. Myself, God, my ancestors having 0 degrees of separation. Like, you don't have to try so hard. You don't have to try so hard. You don't have to give it all away. You just have to get up, get up, get up, get up. You don't have to change a single thing. You don't have to try. 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 I love that song. Oh, I love that song. I'm going to go listen to it after I record this amalgamation of this podcast. It's Kingdom Things Podcast. So, our egoic understanding of power says that you have to force your presence, force your way, force your presence, force your way, force your presence, force your way. Dao Di Ching, the way. Our egoic understanding of creation, our egoic understanding of reality says you have to force your way. Dao Di Ching, the way, says you allow the way, you allow the way, you allow the way. I actually did a Kingdom Things podcast meetup with the ancient Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu, the author of Dao Di Ching. I'm going to go listen to that as well. But I got a download from my cosmic earthly ancestors. And they gave me an analogy energetically, and I read it. An analogy, Bena, intuitive knowledge, gnosis, like... one day, well, it's already happened. So our scientists, private tech companies get a hold of alien spacecrafts, and they try to figure out how it works, how to operate it, how the word how is an egoic conception. The word how, the ideology of how is an egoic conception, because we want to know, we want to be able to write down instructions on how. But my earthly cosmic ancestors gave me the Bena intuitive knowledge that the spacecrafts more than likely are operated through consciousness or through God. Spacecrafts are more than likely operated through our consciousness or God. The spacecrafts are more than likely operated through our consciousness or God. What does that mean, Ashley? You let go and you allow. You trust that you are going to get where you're going because your God, the Most High perception of who you are, knows where you're going. So they're going to get you there and safely. You don't worry about how you allow the spacecraft to operate through your consciousness, or you allow your body, yourself, to operate through your consciousness, and understand that your way will be cleared as Akhenaten channeled through myself on the Kingdom Things podcast meetup with Akhenaten, Jesus, and Akhenaten, Jesus, and forgive me. Akhenaten, Jesus. They're saying it's fine. Akhenaten, Jesus, and the Blu-ray beings, higher dimensional Blu-ray beings, oneness beings. The Kingdom Things podcast meet up with Akhenaten, the Blu-ray beings, as well as Jesus. I don't think it's the Blu-ray beings. I think it's someone else. Dagnammit, I don't like when I forget. It's okay. But Akhenaten channeled through myself. Like, you don't worry about your neighbors, because you understand with you operating through your intuition or your God consciousness, your neighbors will find their way. Your neighbor's way will be laid out in front of them, just as your way has been laid out in front of you through what? Your consciousness, your intuitive guidance, God. So it's not worrying about how. It's not forcing your power. It's not forcing your divine feminine energy. It's not forcing your divine masculine energy. It's allowing the way to unfold. I channeled from God, the Most High White Light Creator energy some time ago, from our ancestors, earthly cosmic ancestors from the Most High. I channeled that it was actually on a Kingdom Things podcast Sunday. It was a download that I got, but like it was so big, so powerful that I like ran from it. And on that, it's so funny, on that Kingdom Things podcast Sunday, I thought I was just gonna be chilling, because I thought that I was gonna be doing mediumship channeling services for whoever requested it. And it was the second Kingdom Things podcast Sunday, so I wasn't expecting much, And then the ancestors were like, "No, you're gonna work." So I grabbed my Rumi Oracle, Alana Fairchild Rumi Oracle set, pulled some cards, and then the ancestors channeled to myself. The ancestors were energies from the great beyond. I'm being guided to divulge. I'm channeling a codex. I'm being guided to explain why codex. Codex is defined by us as ancient texts, ancient literatures, ancient manuscripts. I'm channeling a codex. I'm being guided to share the name. The name is the Codex of Legion. The Codex of Legion. And the reason as to why it's titled the Codex of Legion. The Codex, we define Codex as ancient manuscripts. Ancient manuscripts. These manuscripts are ancient as the energies that are channeling through myself to permeate our reality with the Codex of Legion. Are energies that are infinite old, like they have no beginning, have no end. They have no beginning, have no end. They have no beginning, have no end. The energies that channel this message to myself, the ancestors, are energies that have no beginning, have no end. We can call these energies of the great beyond. So beyond our understandings or concepts, precepts of reality, of conceptuality, beyond our synapses, ability to comprehend. So these energies from the great beyond channel to myself, that God is like everything that's been in the infinite creation has been like a concept, has been like a blueprint of creation, in which God, before God began to construct actuality, reality of actuality, God wanted to work out the kinks. God wanted to work out harmony, work out balance, work out peace. Peace is big. Peace is big. Peace is big. We can have all of the luxuries of the world, but if we don't have peace, like, it's like kind of pointless. It's pointless. It's pointless. It's pointless. So peace, and I've experienced this myself. Working towards goals and achieving goals that, you always wanted to achieve. And you get there and it's like kind of pointless because like you don't have the internal harmony to be satisfied and be happy for yourself and to have peace within your successes, within your manifestations, within your creation and unfoldment of reality. I channel from the great beyond that God, everything that's happened in infinite creation thus far has been like a conceptual blueprints, schematics of, what reality would be, is going to be, is peaceful, harmonious, manifesting or creating as creator beings within the creation called God. The notion of a starseed is a notion of a concept, the galactic concept within God, the galactic concept within God, in which universes, planets, souls incarnate on planets as the beings of that planet, in order to experience, create, have lives within that planet, within that dimensionality, within that realm. A starseed, I found a definition that I'm being guided to read from Eagle Medicine Psychic reading YouTube channel. The video is titled 17 Starseed Types, the Traits, Origins, and Interest in Earth. The first slide is, what is a starseed? Being guided to read this definition, a starseed is a person who is spiritually aware and has a strong connection to the divine creator. They originate from different planets and are old souls sent to Earth to help transform the world by raising the collective consciousness. Many have spiritual gifts of clairvoyance, clairaudience, or clairsentience, being able to read minds, other emotions, or see future events. I ran from the label, the concept of starseed for a long time. Why, Ashley? I didn't want to be put in a box. I didn't want to be put in a box. And I now understand that this is part of my story, part of my journey, part of the unfoldment of God's plan, God's dream, God's world, God's creation of actuality, of unconditional love, in which reality will no longer be illusions, as reality will begin to unfold in omni-construct, in which I channeled the word omni-construct, in which creation will be stagnant in a way in which harmony and unconditional love will be the standard, will be the norm. Creation, God, reality will be stagnant in a way in which unconditional love, harmony will be the peace, will be the norm. Reality, God, creation will be stagnant in the way in which unconditional love, peace, harmony will be the norm. Can I be considered as a starseed? Yes. Everything in this definition is spot on. It's spot on. Ring, 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 ringing bells, resonance. God wants me to understand that we're transcending, and God gave me this download, this understanding some time ago, that humans are set to be an example of unconditional love in order to be able to transcend many dimensions and aspects, past concepts of God's creation. What does that mean, Ashley? Being able to create in our realities with energies from any dimension and aspect of God, in order to see what we create within unconditional love. As unconditional love is the acceptance of every dimension and aspect of self. The human being is only a microcosmic emblem of the macro of God. So with being able to love ourselves and each other unconditionally, as the oneness in which we are, within oneness consciousness, understanding that all is one, all is serving as dimensions and aspects of the one, for the highest good of the one, of all, we'll be able to access through our consciousnesses, our God consciousness, our Goddess consciousnesses, energies from any dimension and aspect of God, in order to create within our reality What will we create? What will we create? Transcending the division and concepts of types and groups and culture. We'll still have types and groups and culture, but understanding that the types and groups and culture are part of the oneness of all, and that we can all glean and learn and utilize dimensions and aspects of the oneness that is all, or the types and groups and cultures, and no longer gatekeep our types and groups and cultures that we feel like we belong to, because we understand that all of the types and groups and cultures are a part of the oneness of all. What does that mean, Ashley? Full circle. There will be no questions, concern on whether or not God is real. Your God is real, my God is real. There will be no questions or concerns, because we will all be our own gods and goddesses. We will all understand and respect our individuality, as we all understand and respect the fact that every individual God and goddess serve towards the oneness of all, of the total of God, goddess. Peace, harmony, no longer warring. All of the war and dysfunction that we've ever had stems from the lack of knowing self, or the lack of understanding that every dimension and aspect of creation, every person serves as a stewardess of the whole of the one. Peace. This means peace. Big emphasis is on we're not escaping or running from anything, but we're incorporating other dimensions and aspects from ourselves, from spaces, places beyond our synapse, precepts, or understandings, within our monad, within our vessels, within our beingness, and planting those energies within this realm of creation, or within planet Earth. So we're not running anywhere. We're not separating from anything. We're actually amalgamating all of ourselves within this existence, within this life, within this creation. We wonder as to when, why, how, our star brethren or other dimensional beings, extraterrestrial beings, will land on planet Earth, will reach out and contact planet Earth as a mass culture. The way this download came to me, like magnetism, whenever there's like a magnet with whenever there's unequal like magnetism in two magnets, and they're like pushing and pulling, they never get to meet or face, because instead of attracting, they're trying to push and pull their way through creation. Magnets are supposed to attract things to themselves, not push and pull their way through creation. So like when we send our telescopes and our Hubble crafts, and our Keplers. I think there's only one Kepler, but like that's funny. Our Keplers into space. We're like pushing on creation, versus going within to activate the dimensions and aspects of creation that have always been within us, that we're searching for out there. When we go within to activate those dimensions and aspects of creation that have always been within us, i.e. Extraterrestrials or other extra dimensional beings, once we harmonize with ourselves, come into harmony with these dimensions within ourselves, our alien aspects within ourselves, our extra dimensional aspects within ourselves, that's when we'll be able to harmonize with extra dimensionals and extraterrestrials within God's creation, i.e. the 2029 prophecy of extraterrestrial beings greeting human beings of planet Earth en masse, openly. I'm being guided to elaborate on why we will be able to harmoniously convene with and create with and live with other extraterrestrial, extra-dimensional beings from other spaces, places, and dimensions, because we will have the internal harmony and understanding that we have always been the extraterrestrials and extra-dimensional beings, and the extraterrestrial and extra-dimensional beings that come from other dimensions, spaces, and places are only mirroring the extraterrestrial, extra-dimensional beings in which we are in our internal truths. with operating through my authentic soul print, or the frequency in which God created me to operate through, journeying further into my soul, I will be living an extraterrestrial-ass life, meaning the box in which humanity has encased itself within, the box in which humanity is afraid to liberate itself from, the box in which we fight over the scraps within the system that we manufactured, that is a system of finite resources, finite possibilities. I'm going to be living an extraterrestrial-ass life outside of the box, doing miraculous things in order to help create a new world, a new dream in which everyone within planet Earth, everyone within God's creation can glean and understand and learn that they are an extraterrestrial as being in and of themselves, with extraterrestrial unlimited possibilities. A big part. It is being guided to start with the date. It's April 11th. Hey y'all, it is April 11th, 2023. What is time but a beautiful experience? It is 8:21 p.m. Central Standard Time. I've been doing a lot of shadow work. Doing a lot of shadow work to transcend karmic cycles, karmic loops for the human collective, in order to welcome the human collective into its dharma, or the human collective into its purpose of creation. What is the human being's purpose of creation? To be unconditional love. To understand that every dimension and aspect of God's creation is a dimension and aspect of God's creation for a reason. There's no suffering. There's no punishment. There's only lessons to glean in our ups and our downs, our waywards, forward. However we are being in reality, it's all for our highest good. Unconditional love is understanding that every dimension and aspect of God's creation is for our highest good. I'm really excited about the message that I'm being guided to channel. Humanity is freed from its karmic suppression. Humanity is free from its karmic suppression. Why, Ashley? Doing all of the shadow work, as we say, or piecing together the puzzle from the beginning of Kingdom Things podcast to this present moment, where I was able to glean and perceive and graduate into the understanding that our egos are not malicious or malevolent. Our egos are afraid. Our egos are little children afraid of being rejected by God. We have a genome in which we worshiped this God. It was manufactured into our genome, into our DNA, to worship this God, the same way in which a child looks up to and worships their parents. We have a genome in which I'm being guided to just go forward. The same way in which we worship our parents is the same way in which we worship God. We are DNA programmed to worship God in the same way we worship our parents. And for facing the notion of being rejected by God, facing the notion of being abandoned by God, we'd rather act as if we don't embrace our goddess essence. We rather be hellions. We rather make up our own rules of what reality is. We rather construct our own reality versus waiting for God to not ever return. or to say that we aren't good enough to be loved unconditionally by God. Our egos or our personalities or the way in which we perceive ourselves, the way in which we perceive our realities, the way in which we justify our existence is like it's a copycatter. Our egos, our personalities, what we use to justify our existence, all it can do is copycat. All it can do is mimic. All it can do is mimic. All it can do is mimic that in which already is in our reality. I was walking to Kroger's, as I like to do. It's a good way for me to connect with the ancestors, nature, do healing work on myself, shadow work on myself. And I was getting some help from the ancestors, and he was saying that the ego placates or attempts to quell self because our souls are thrown a fit. There are dimensions and aspects of ourselves that are enraged because they're being silenced in order for the ego to feel like it's in control, in order for the ego to mimic reality. Reality being a minute aspect of our truths. So there are so many dimensions and aspects of ourselves that are on mute, on pause, because our ego is playing the game. Our ego is playing the game of smallness. Our ego is playing the game of finite. Our ego is playing the game of separation. I was able to perceive this within myself, and it's funny. It's funny because it was like the energy of the ego is like it blocks everything else from happening. It stifles everything because it wants to be in control, wants to feel like it's in control. But once you let go and you allow, you move from your heart space. The ego has nothing to do but to concede. And even then it'll try to stop, motion or creation as we create from our heart spaces, as we move, are to move through our reality from our heart spaces with being in divine alignment with God's plan, Source's project, the building, creation of a new world, a world in which we're not placating ourselves, but we're allowing ourselves to be our fullness. And there's fear that comes with that because, what is my fullness? We're infinite. You don't know what you're going to experience with yourself. But I'm being guided to understand that's a part of creation. That's a part of the fun. We don't know anything. We don't know anything. We don't know anything. We have this character that likes to portray understanding, likes to portray knowledge. But true wisdom is the understanding that knowledge is forever. And with knowledge being forever, there's going to be new levels of understanding that you come into within every dimension and aspect of self, or new levels of understanding that you come into within every dimension and aspect of reality. Therefore, there's no way to know or understand. We just have to allow ourselves to experience. I have to get used to talking about my personal journey. As if I'm healing other people, I want to be as open as I'm guided to be about my personal experience. I'm a divine counterpart, and firstly want to say that with God's new world, God's new reality, the Divine Mother is a staple in God's new reality. As the Divine Mother, the Divine Feminine was created to teach the knowings of God's creation to her children, to balance the energies of creation within her household in order to project the reality in which God sees fit, the reality in which God co-creates with each and every household, each and every family. I was livid. I was pissed off. I keep on here clairaudiently in my head, placate, because that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to keep myself non-hostile, but I was pissed off. Which placating isn't a bad thing. Nothing's good or bad. So I have to get that through my head. Nothing's good or bad, but I have to allow myself to be liberated. I was pissed off because I was mad, but I have to understand that everything in our reality is only the makings of us. So how upset can you really be if you just allowing your energy to flow? But how upset can you really be if everything in your reality is the makings of you? Is the makings of the version of you that'll be needed in the next moment, in the next journey, the next cycle of creation or your life. So how mad could you really be? But I have energies in me that are pissed off because it's like my divine counterpart has been a spectator to my life, and spectating as if he isn't a part of my life, as if he isn't one with my life, as if he's judging on whether or not he's going to join when he has no choice, just as I had no choice in how my life is unfolding. My ego had no choice. My ego had no choice. My ego had no choice. My earth personality had no choice in how my life is unfolding, as how my life is unfolding. Gratefully, thankfully, thank you. Gratitude is that of the most high white light's creator energies, intentions for my creation, or is of my soul's plan for my life, or for the creation that is I. So he's watching like he's a spectator and like he's not a part of it. Part of him's watching, part of him like on a heart level, soul level, like he knows what it is. But there's part of him that was a driving force in how he perceived his reality, how he perceived me, how he allowed himself to perceive his reality, how he allowed himself to perceive me. But I was being guided to understand when I was walking back, that's partly my doing. Because I was taking responsibility for everything. Like I would just full circle. I would bring everything back to me. And when I did that, I took all the heat. I took all the darkness, right? I took all of the towers, but I turned those towers, those darkness, that heat into power, into God energy, goddess energy. So I'm connecting with beings from many dimensions and co-creating with God and have a connection with my soul like no other. I'm walking in my goddess essence. Every moment I'm growing in my goddess essence. So I was pissed that, he wasn't stepping forward and wanting in the physical reality. I was pissed that he wasn't stepping forward in the physical reality. I will say on a soul level, my divine masculine counterpart is always with me, has always been with me, and is very active in my journey in every moment. But in the physical reality, he wasn't stepping forward. And I've been in communication with my divine masculine soul. So I know it's my divine masculine soul wanted him to figure it out on his own. So I was like, okay, that's cool. But I was doing full circle so he wouldn't have any tower moments, right? My divine masculine in the physical reality, so he wouldn't have tower moments like that. I would take responsibility for all of the energy in the situation. And when I did that, I did it to placate so that, he wouldn't be angry or, and when I did that, I was taking his power away from him to grow into his God essence, grow further. Let me not diminish, his growth, grow further into his God essence and assume his role in this physical reality. At the same time, I was stagnating myself from assuming my role as a divine mother, as a spiritual teacher, as a guru, in which my soul, my ancestors tell me to own it. As a guru, as a spiritual teacher, as a biblically prophesied Messiah, I was stagnating myself from taking my role in that position in the physical reality. But like I said, everything, like I channeled, everything that happens in creation is every moment is the makings of us. So how angry can you be? I'm allowing myself to see as parts of me that's angry, but it's all part of the plan. I was in university. I was studying to be here right now to understand this, in order to be able to take my role as a divine creator being for God within this dimensionality that we call the human being of planet Earth. So he was able to capitalize off of the physical beingness. Like he was able to sustain his, do his thing in the physical reality. And I've been mostly in the spirit realm, growing in the spirit. I've been growing in the spirit. I've been growing in the spirit. I've been growing and aligning in the spirit. And he has as well, but his domain is the physical reality. And I allowed it to be that way because I protected his ego by taking all of the darkness, all of the shadows, all of the hits. I would take them. I would take responsibility for all of it, which that grew me in the spirit, aligned me in the spirit rapidly. But it kept me stagnant in the physical world. And it kept him somewhat stagnant in the spirit realm with aligning with his soul. So like God's like, let the chips fall as they may. And like allow yourself to see all angles. I wouldn't allow myself to see, okay, this is like this is part of his responsibility. This is part of his making. I would just take responsibility for all of it. I would say, okay, put it all on me. Put it all on me. Put it all on me. But then I would turn it to light, into power. Thank you, ancestors. Thank you, ancestors. Holy conundrum quelled. Holy conundrum quelled. Nikki, check it out. Conundrum. The song's been in my head, but yeah. Holy conundrum quelled. Holy conundrum quelled. Holy. Holy, 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 holy. So we've created many paradigms, right? In our reality as a human being of planet Earth, within our like generation of the human being of planet Earth. Oh my, within our generation. Holy. Okay, it's not like, okay. This is the perfect analogy. Oh my gosh, this analogy is so great. This is a really, 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 really good one. So time happens in a circle, right? In phases. And there's been like 5 generations of the human being of planet Earth within this creation that God's alchemizing to alchemize the unconditional love that is the human being of planet Earth to reform and uplift all of God's creation. But the generations, like the show Degrassi. Like the show Degrassi. It happens like the human creation happens in generations. It happens in generations. Like we have the same cast in a generation. Like it's switched up the next, But characters like overlap in other generations. They appear, in other generations. The cast gets diversified, but there's like consistency in the story. Like it's a drama, same old, same old. Y'all, we have to live by the universal codes. Not our understanding of creation, but the universal codes in which are here and present in our reality. There have been beings incarnated many a times to leave the universal codes to us to utilize, but we get distracted. We get distracted. My hands up. We get distracted, and we don't allow ourselves to live in accordance to the universal codes, which causes our own strife, our own pain, our own suffering. So, I'm being guided to say, Tahuti, Thoth, Hermes Trismegistus, look them up. Tahuti,
one incarnation, Thoth one incarnation, Hermes Trismegistus another incarnation. Look them up and let that take you where it's supposed to lead you. Let that research take you where it's supposed to lead you. We have this misconception that dark energies are bad, and with this misconception, we push down our own darkness within us, which causes us to become imbalanced, which causes us to create lives of suffering, inconsistency, unharmonious, which creates a reality, a planet of inconsistency, imbalance, unharmonious, with suffering. Dark energy is not good or bad. Light energy is not good or bad. There's no such thing as good or bad in God's creation. There's only energies, and we get to decide our understandings of the energies. We were told within this experiment within this creation called the human being of planet Earth, the basic universal codes to live by in order to have a harmonious and balanced society. We chose not to, which leads to our bodies getting dis-ease, which leads to our bodies perishing versus rejuvenating. Dark energy isn't bad. It's not something to stuff down into a lower dimension. Dark energy is not bad. It's not something to stuff down into a lower dimension. Dark energy is not bad. It's not something to stuff down into a lower dimension or stuff down within ourselves and disassociate with ourselves and act like we don't have darkness within. The only reason why the darkness acts up and manifests in the way that it does is because of what that energy has to do to be seen. The energy, since we ignore it, it manifests in our reality in catastrophic ways in order for us to be able to perceive it. And in order for us to heal it, we have to go to extraneous measures to heal it, i.e. convection. Convection, a movement caused within a fluid by the tendency of hotter and therefore less dense material to rise and colder, denser material to sink under the influence of gravity, which consequently results in transfer of heat. When we stuff down our emotions and don't allow ourselves to experience our emotions are going to get our attention by manifesting in our reality as catastrophic means. In order to heal these emotions, we have to go to extraneous measures to heal them, such as the spiritual initiations that I'm going through currently. Dark, light, neither of them are bad, and God uses both dark and light to create within creation. God uses both dark and light to create within creation. God uses both dark and light to create within creation. It's about us becoming consciously aware of what we hold within in order for us to consciously make decisions in our lives based off of our conscious understanding of the dimensions and aspects in which make up the creation that is ourselves, that is humanity.